The film industry is buzzing with some major drama right now, and I've been watching it unravel in real time. The name at the center of it all? Rachel Zegler. Again. This time, the whispers aren't about a bad press tour or awkward interviews. We're talking about something Hollywood rarely even talks about, like recasting a lead actress mid-production. And from what I'm hearing, this isn't just studio panic. This is a full-blown crisis. Let me be very clear. You don't start discussing a mid-shoot recast unless things have gone completely off the rails. It's the studio equivalent of hitting the self-destruct button.
Excuse me, your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you? Spare me your white savior complex.
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy?
It demolishes budgets, breaks schedules, and throws the entire production into chaos. And yet, according to multiple insiders, that's exactly what's on the table with Rachel, Zegler's new indie drama. Behind the vague press statements about creative restructuring, the vibe on set is reportedly so toxic that producers are running out of options. And here's what makes this even more shocking. This isn't a giant franchise film where recasting might be easier to explain away. This is a small, character-driven drama where chemistry and continuity are everything. Recasting someone this deep into production isn't just difficult. It could jeopardize the entire film.
But it's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay.
One source close to the crew said, "We're at the point where saving the movie might mean cutting Rachel loose." Everyone wanted this to be her comeback story. But now, it looks like it might become her industry cautionary tale. This was supposed to be Rachel's redemption arc, an indie film, a grounded script, paired with respected veteran Marisa Tomei. No CGI, just acting. But insiders say it's starting to feel like Snow White 2.0. From the very beginning, the energy felt off. It didn't begin with a dramatic outburst. It started with the kind of small red flags that, in hindsight, always signal trouble.
Both victim and heroine. Listen.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
Rachel reportedly showed up late more than once during rehearsals, often scrolling on her phone while others blocked scenes. A grip described her demeanor as checked out but defensive, like she didn't want to be questioned about her lack of engagement. And then there was the tone she allegedly took with crew, not shouting, worse, condescending. One technician claimed she would make passive-aggressive comments about lighting setups or wardrobe fittings, always with a smile that said, "I know better." That type of behavior spreads quickly on a small set. And when the lead brings that energy, it starts to affect everything, from how actors relate to each other to how motivated the crew feels.
The reason we had Rachel Zegler on the docket is she's an asshole. So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country, everyone who voted for Trump. So I attacked her, and then she came out and she said, "I apologize. Like I went too far," but it wasn't sincere.
One insider said she wasn't yelling, but she made everyone feel like they were doing something wrong just by doing their jobs. Multiple crew members reportedly felt like Rachel treated the project as beneath her, iced coffee in hand, big fish in a small pond energy. Even more frustrating, the fact that this wasn't her movie. She wasn't even the emotional center of the story. But somehow, every moment started to revolve around her presence, her needs, her rewrites.
And Liana, go on the other side.
Oh yes, it's wonderful. Her voice doesn't sound like nails on a chalkboard at all. Nothing.
Liana, come.
Don't forget about it, Snow White. Go on. Keep skipping away, my dear.
One more picture.
Then came the rewrites. Rachel allegedly wanted dialogue changes mid-shoot because her scenes didn't feel empowered enough. She's not even the lead, but reportedly pushed to shift the emotional weight of the story onto her character. Sources say it wasn't collaborative, it was disruptive. One insider described it as a hostile takeover.
I get stopped for photos every time I'm online for the Snow White ride, and I have to pretend like, oh God, well, crazy that we're in front of this.
Wait, how often are you in line for the Snow White ride?
I'm a narcissist.
According to people close to the production, Rachel began showing up to script read-throughs with her own suggested edits, sometimes written in Sharpie across the original pages. She reportedly argued that her character deserved more nuance, more range, more moments. The problem? These weren't minor tweaks. They were structural overhauls, lines rewritten to give her dramatic monologues, emotional beats, and even scenes that shifted attention away from the lead. Crew members say the energy changed completely. Rehearsals turned into debates. Blocking sessions were interrupted by unsolicited feedback.
Snow White star Rachel Zegler is entering the chat telling Allure she struggles to meet supportive women in Hollywood. Quote, "All I'm ever really looking for in this business is a sister, and they're not always easy to find."
And one particularly tense day ended with Rachel allegedly storming off set after being told her changes couldn't be accommodated. She wanted a different movie, one production assistant claimed. But that wasn't the movie we were making. And things really broke down when a key co-star, considered the emotional anchor of the film, quietly walked off set. No yelling, no grand exit. Just a quiet refusal to continue, one that sent a ripple through every department. That quiet exit? It shattered morale.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable. There's some clip of her on the internet in her Snow White outfit saying, "Every hour I am in the outfit of Snow White wearing the dress. All 18 hours, I deserve to be paid for every single one." Oh, really? Are you having trouble paying your bills, Rachel?
Crew members began rotating shifts to avoid Rachel's trailer. Makeup, wardrobe, even sound started falling behind. And while the studio tried spinning it as a timeline adjustment, everyone on set knew what was happening. Even more frustrating, Rachel allegedly brushed it all off, accusing others of sabotage and claiming she was misunderstood. It didn't help that this wasn't her film to begin with. It was Tomy's project. Yet somehow Rachel reportedly made it all about her. Again, here's what's most damning: the silence. No one is defending Rachel, not the director, not her co-stars, not even Marisa Tomei. In Hollywood, that kind of vacuum doesn't happen by accident. It means everyone's seen the behind-the-scenes mess and wants no part of the fallout. Casting. Directors, producers, former champions, they're all backing away. One casting exec reportedly said, "She's not worth the insurance risk." It's not just reputational, it's legal. Rachel's now infamous live stream where she joked about being ghosted by the studio, that might have violated her NDA. The studio's legal team is reportedly documenting everything: TikToks, live streams, fan edits, anything that might be used to justify severing her contract. One assistant director said the digital paper trail alone could cost the studio millions. And it's not just theory. Crew members are already talking to journalists, quietly, anonymously, but consistently. Insiders say the studio's legal department has created a dedicated internal task force just to track and catalog Rachel's public activity. That includes transcribing her live streams, monitoring fan-created content that she interacts with.
Somebody tweeted and said, "Rachel Zegler has such an attitude about Snow White as a character, it's genuinely off-putting. Her and Gal Gadot are being such pick-me's over this movie. Like, who's gonna watch it if the protagonist and antagonist are behaving like mean girls?"
And flagging every instance where her behavior could be interpreted as undermining the production. It's meticulous, it's expensive, and it shows just how serious the studio is about covering itself. A source familiar with the legal process reportedly said, "This isn't about punishing her. It's about minimizing risk. Because if the film collapses or investors pull out, the studio needs to prove it wasn't caught flat-footed. The fact that they're preparing for worst-case scenarios tells you how bad it really is." What's left of Rachel's PR team is reportedly in full crisis mode. or was. One rep allegedly quit after she ignored advice to stay offline. There was a full crisis comms plan ready to go. A tearful apology video, a strategically placed interview in a sympathetic outlet, and a press tour pivot focused on mental health, growth, and self-reflection. It was polished, rehearsed, and backed by a top-tier agency. Rachel reportedly turned it all down. She wasn't going to play the game, according to one source. And just like that, the first major brand partnership dropped her. No statement, no soft exit. Her photos disappeared from the spring campaign lineup like they were never there. But the fallout didn't stop at endorsements. Actors set to co-star with her in upcoming projects started adding creative separation clauses to their contracts. Basically, I'll do the movie, but I don't want to share scenes with her. It's the Hollywood equivalent of sitting on opposite sides of the cafeteria. Even her social media posts, once seen as quirky and authentic, have become red flags. Every post is now scrutinized, not just by fans, but by studio compliance teams trying to figure out what could blow back next. One insider summed it up perfectly. At this point, her online presence isn't a brand.
Rachel Zegler, thanks for coming on my show. I sold out years ago and I'm a coward. So you recently starred in the movie Snow White. Tell me, what was it like to play Snow Latina?
First of all, Steven, it was weird. But I did enjoy reimagining the character as a woke Colombian woman who looks like a fish.
It's a liability. It's hard to believe this is the same actress who was discovered through an open casting call and handpicked by Steven Spielberg. Just a few years ago, Rachel Zegler was the embodiment of the modern Hollywood fairy tale, talented, telegenic, and socially conscious. She was supposed to be the antidote to the over-polished studio-manufactured star. But the fairy tale? It's unraveling fast. Her breakout moment was supposed to be She Gets It From Me, a character-driven indie that had all the makings of a redemption story. Acclaimed director, respected co-star, a script built around emotional subtlety rather than spectacle. But insiders say Rachel treated it like a proving ground for ego, not art. Reports of constant rewrites, ignored direction, and undermining crew authority weren't just rumors. They were echoed by multiple departments. Quietly. Carefully, but consistently. What makes this fall so jarring is the contrast. The same actress who once charmed audiences with her fresh-faced authenticity is now being described by insiders as a source of disruption and instability, and she doesn't seem to see it. While the industry braces for damage control, Rachel's still leaning into empowerment narratives. But the framing, I'm strong, I'm outspoken, I won't be silenced, no longer lands the way it once did. Not because strength is unwelcome, but because behavior still matters. Professionalism still matters. One producer reportedly said, "She's confusing resistance with righteousness. She thinks every no is an attack instead of a boundary."
Disney has scrapped plans for a star-studded UK premiere of its live-action Snow White remake, a decision driven by fears of an anti-woke backlash.
Instead of the quiet rise she was poised for, Rachel's now the cautionary tale playing out in real time. And fairy tales don't end well when the audience stops rooting for the main character. Studio executives are reportedly split. Some want her gone immediately. Others are hesitating, worried about the optics of removing a Latina lead mid-production. But behind the closed-door debates, a new consensus is forming. This isn't about identity. It's about behavior. And behavior, especially on a film set, is everything. One veteran producer reportedly said, "We've worked with strong women. We've worked with outspoken women. This isn't that. This is ego run wild." And in Hollywood, when people start using words like risk profile and uninsurable, it's rarely just about one project. It's about whether anyone wants to deal with you again. Sources say industry trade publications are already prepping stories using euphemisms like creative reevaluation and lead role adjustments. Translation? The recast may already be in motion, and the studio's just looking for the cleanest exit strategy. The conversation in boardrooms and talent agencies isn't how do we help her recover? It's how do we make sure this doesn't happen again? And the scariest part? Rachel might still think she's in control of the story, but the story is already writing itself without her. So now the question isn't whether Rachel Zegler will finish this movie. It's whether Hollywood still sees her as worth the trouble. Because in an industry built on image, timing, and trust, the silence around her speaks louder than any headline. If this really is the beginning of the end for her current trajectory, it didn't happen overnight. It happened one ignored warning at a time. And at this point, the industry isn't just watching, it's already moving on.